Hola, Oli, Pop Rock Radio. Estás escuchando Jamie Roxx de Pop Rock Radio. Manténganse al tanto.
Hej, det här är Hits från Sverige och vi lyssnar till Pop Rock Radio med Jamie Roxx.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the show. This is the Pop Roxx Radio talk show, the video side of it. Welcome. I am super excited, fanboying a little bit, because this is one of my favorite bands out there. They are phenomenal. And, you know, as a fan of electronic music and stuff like synth-pop and whatnot, you know, I kind of outgrew going to clubs too much. I'm an old man now. But one of the things is, you know, you'd hear stuff that's all 20 years old. There was nothing new. Very rarely was there new stuff. And this band that we have today, Beautiful Machines, fits that bill. They solved that problem. They're fantastic. It's new stuff. And it's just, it blows you away. It blows me away, at least. Very impressed. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Conrad and Stephanie, Beautiful Machines, all the way from Germany. Hi, guys.
Hallo. Ja, hallo.
Hey. Very cool.
I guess
No, you guys, are you guys in your studio then? I'm sorry. I'm overtalked. Go ahead, Conrad.
We're in studio.
Wow, I see Stephanie, you know. Go ahead. What were you saying?
Yeah, I'm in the kind of music studio, and then we've moved into this new place where we have like a stage inside of our living space, which is pretty cool. And so we have the Simmons drums back there behind Steph, and you'll probably notice there's a cute little lion on there. And then I'm just in the kind of normal studio, like synthesizers.
That's our drummer.
Yeah. Yeah.
I saw a different guy in some of the other video. I'm kidding. But no, it was fantastic. We've been playing. We've been playing. It's on the website. I had it right in front of me.
Angelica.
Is it Control? I think we've been playing Control a lot. I've been personally listening to Angelica a lot because that's my new favorite thing in the entire world. That gets played daily. I don't know if you've seen your YouTube count dramatically increase. That's probably just me playing it on repeat, you know, just over and over and over. Really good.
Well,
and yes, folks, we're going to play that here in a little. Now, last time I talked to you guys, it was 10 years ago almost, I think. 2015, something like that.
10.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't that long.
9 years?
No.
I know, it freaks me out. We're in 2024. I don't know how that happened. I never thought I would make it past 1988, but here we are.
I think you just fell into a time warp and then you came out the other side and no time has passed. That's what happened.
I think so as well. I was at a party the other day and somebody was talking about this and they're like, I'm like, yeah, you know, we're living in the future. And they're like, yeah, but this sucks. It's the same as the past. And I'm like, not really. You're walking around with all of human knowledge in your pocket. I'm talking to people all over the place, you know, real time. It's pretty, yes, I did discover some racist relatives during the pandemic on Facebook, but other than that, we're doing pretty good, I think, you know.
Yeah,
how's things in Germany?
Things going on. Yeah, it's
Say
good.
again?
We get more clarified kind of information, at least it seems like, from when we're in the US. And then now since we're over here, the kind of news, you can still get a lot of sensational stuff and everything's now more social media, but you can get like a more refined, hopefully, if you know where to look. But of course, it's all in the world. So when we see US news, hopefully we see less of the kind of politicizing and grandstanding and all this kind of stuff. So hopefully it's a little bit more. And the mind waves in Germany is a bit different. And we're here access to Europe. So it's really nice. Yeah. But yeah, we are living in a really strange and different time where I think a few years ago, I was like, oh man, there's flying cars coming now. And we're looking at these things and we're thinking, that's never, you know, at some point you thought that's going to be way in the future and it's not really going to happen. And then people were saying, like, I think maybe like 2015, where's the future that we were promised with flying cars? Really, for some reason, they emphasized that one. And I'm thinking,
Right.
yeah, but flying cars is just a helicopter, guys. And so,
Absolutely.
so yeah, there's been all these huge, but AI swept in fast. And it's just what was science fiction just a few years ago is everybody's just used to it now. So
Absolutely.
that'll just kind of give you some how the transformation happens, how we
Well,
all adopt it really fast.
there was a lot of grumbling in my pond in the art world from not established artists. None of them had it. They're like, hey, something to make my life easier, sign me up, But the students and the people getting started out were concerned. And I said, guys, look at this thing. Unless you're becoming a graphic designer, if you're becoming a graphic designer, yeah, you might want to worry a little bit. That job may go away because,
You mean because you've been replicated by AI?
yes, I didn't see what the problem is. I use AI all the time, man, and I love it. I used it yesterday. We posted a painting on eBay, and eBay, of all things, has a little, let AI write your description. I'm like, sounds good to me. Go ahead, AI.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because I don't want to write those descriptions over and over again. Yes, please do it for me.
Because you feel like such a schmuck. Oh, this painter, blah, 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 and it's just, let AI do that.
Speaking of, talking about your paintings, tell us a little bit about your artwork.
Oh, it's just the same, I'm always doing something, and I don't know how to do anything else. So, we just keep chugging along with it. But yeah, this year, I'm probably going to do about 300 paintings by the time of the year ends. That's a lot. That's a lot of
nice.
Pretty gals up to no good, That's usually, I'm inspired, I think, the same way you guys are inspired, and speaking of politics, I love a good dystopian novel. I don't want to live in a dystopian world necessarily that I'm not having a good time in, you know what I mean? If I'm one of the elites in the dystopian world, then yeah, I'm okay. But I don't want to be living, if I'm in Metropolis, I want to be above ground. I don't want to be down below.
It may be not one or the other. It may be that it may be that we have to transverse through the dystopian to get to the more utopian. It's possible that we go through kind of a growing kind of thing. Hopefully that's what it is. I mean, Terminators and stuff, but
I'm not too worried. I have a lot of friends. I have a very unique philosophy on AI and especially sentient AI. And I'm like, I kind of think, or I don't know if isn't the hell I'm going to die on, but I think it would be humorous if an AI did become sentient and looked at humanity and went, kind of boring, not really interested. Like at the end of Neuromancer, like when the Wintermute became, the net or whatever. And he said, yeah, I discovered one of my own over an Alpha Centauri. Much more interested in that than you little ants here. And I think humanity would freak out. They couldn't handle it. They'd be like, we're not the most important
thing. Yeah, that's
thing.
kind of the sentiment.
I know.
I mean, that's definitely, they might just leave and one day go to space. That was the scenario in Her, right?
Yeah.
And also,
Also, I think people are going to make a lot of friends first, right? We're going to have like a lot of companion bots. I think they're rolling out in Japan in droves.
Absolutely.
People clone themselves. You ever seen there was a movie called Multiplicity and has nothing to do with AI, but in that same way, you could kind of clone yourself and run around and do a bunch of different things.
Wouldn't that be
in a mechanical?
I think that was Michael Keaton. And wouldn't that be amazing? Yeah. I was just doing yard work the other day and said to myself, because I'm the only one out there doing it. And I'm like, I need about 4 more of me out here on this project. Hot. I hate doing it. And I could be inside, doom scrolling through Facebook or whatever. Well, they're all
out. But see, that you said you can automate the AI to do everything from the comfort of the computer while you can't automate the outside labor stuff yet. So you'll just have to do it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I will say this, and I tell everybody who I talk to, me and my wife live 20 minutes south, 15, 20 minutes south, depending on traffic, of Mar-a-Lago. So you can imagine the vibe. In 2016, we're still the weirdo artists of the neighborhood, but we were the only ones without a Trump banner in their yard. This time around, I have in the entire neighborhood, I've seen maybe 3 signs. So I think, and that's definitely different than before. So maybe that's good news, I don't know.
That's different.
Yeah.
It's you're wearing a purple, call it a hat, which
Mhm.
usually is a Florida. I'm from Florida as well, and so when I was there, I was going to Gainesville. Do you know Gainesville?
Yeah, it's up northern Florida somewhere. Tom Petty's from there, I think.
Yeah, Tom Petty, the
That's
Eagles, all these kind of stuff. And from there, it was like a blue island in the sea of red state mostly, and then it's kind of usually they say Florida's a kind of a purple state. So I was attributing, maybe your purple hat is
Hopefully
Polish behavior.
it's weird. I just saw on the news, and I don't want to get folks. Don't worry, we're going to talk about cool music and everything. But I did, we're talking about this now. I did see it on the news. I think it was last night, might have been the night before, that Paris is ahead like 16 points in Miami with the Cuban population of Miami, which is totally reversed from last time. So I don't know.
If you put the two side in like a split pane, one is like smiling and happy and joyous, and the other one is like, you're gonna die, we're all gonna be.
Right.
So one is literally dystopian, where utopian. So if you look at them side by side, you're like, okay, choose your own adventure. And
Yeah.
so
I did not know, Conrad, you grew up in Florida. I've been here. My wife, last big place, I lived 10 years in California, Southern California. And I guess I had a habit of pointing out to my wife, who grew up here in Florida, I'm like, well, the beaches in California, nobody has to pay to park there. And I point out all these great things about California to her all the time. I didn't realize I was doing that. So the other day she comes dancing into the workshop here, all happy. I'm like, what happened? Did we win the lottery? And she goes, no, it came up on my phone. You have officially lived longer in Florida now than you did in California. So now you're a Floridian. And I was just, no, but I didn't know you were from Florida originally. No, I'm just laughing. So true. Wow. Yeah, you can't do that now. Yeah, that's very true. I saw one in my neighbor's backyard yesterday. It was 4 feet long, ginormous iguana. It's crazy. It's crazy. When I first moved to Florida, I moved, like I said, from California. I thought I came to visit a friend and met a girl and married her, and now here we are. But I was like, I saw lots of art, I saw lots of paintings because, it's all cartel owners and stuff, people who run they got money. I see Miami Vice. So when I moved here, that's what I was expecting. And at the time, my wife's now, she wasn't my wife then, but she was finishing up school over on the Gulf side, West Florida. So that's where I landed in West Florida. And there were no cartel. There wasn't Miami Vice. There were monster trucks and lots of people with meth addictions. And I'm not putting it down. There's very nice Naples is very nice. There's nice places, folks. But yeah, North Fort Myers, oh man, it's hold on to your wallet. And it's just weird. It's weird. What? Anyhow, speaking of dystopia, you guys are like doing the soundtrack to it. How did that? Were you both big science fiction fans and said, we're going to kind of go that direction with our music, our art? How did that come about? I love it. Absolutely. Absolutely. And there she is.
Whoa. He just transported somewhere else.
He'll be back. That's the great thing about transports. They're coming or going.
Well,
no, here he is. Were you also from Florida originally?
nah. I grew up in California, and before that, I was in a different country, a little island called Taiwan.
Nice. One of the few places in Asia I've never been to, but wanted to go. Love the food.
Really?
That comes out. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the food's really good. I mean, I like all Asian food, but yeah, Taiwan's got some pretty good choices there. But you should go soon because we don't know what's going to happen to it. There's all these earthquakes and other stuff going on.
It's very true. Well, Stephanie, I've got the amount of luck that when if I were to go and show up, that's when everything's going to happen. And it's like, oh man, here he is. Let's send the nukes. No, let's send the ground. Anyway, I've heard great things about it though. I was talking to a friend of mine, and it's been a long time since I've been in Asia, 20 years. And we were talking about Tokyo. I'm like, I found Tokyo to be very cool in it visually. And it looked to me, at least, and this was the time I was there, it was very futuristic, very cool on the outside. And then you walk in the building and the plastic counters quickly became yellow. You know what I mean? It was like the outside looked great. And then you went in and you're like, oh no. Hong Kong, I went the wrong time of year. It was hot, it's very hot.
Oh my God, Hong
Of course,
Kong is
Florida's very hot too. Everywhere I go. I don't know why we can't have climate cooling instead of climate warming. That would be my idea, Let's get on that,
Yeah,
people.
just come to you.
Yeah, I think the key of being in Asia and having that experience is if you're just behind a glass pane, like a huge skyscraper glass pane, you're looking out, it's nighttime, it looks like Blade Runner, and it's raining.
Yeah.
Then everything's good. And once you step outside, you're drenched in sweat, there's no dignity.
No.
It's nothing's futuristic because you're just too sweaty to care. Then it's different.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
My
Then
wife
it's over.
she went to Las Vegas for the first time last year, and she called me, she goes, you said it was going to be so hot. It's not hot at all here. I'm not even sweating. I'm like, sweetie, you are sweating. It's just so hot. It's evaporating off of you immediately. So
It's
like,
evaporating.
she's like, I haven't
That's
had to fix my
hilarious.
makeup in 2 days. The cooking, that's why. Anyhow, so
That's why we love Vegas.
I'll tell you, it's an interesting place. Let me ask you, Stephanie, did you start out playing synthesizer, or have you always been a key girl, so to speak, or classical instruments as well?
Well, I started with classical piano and I was playing classical things. Then I played other stuff, branched out and played the bass guitar in kind of like hardcore and semi-metal, like core inspired bands for a while. And then I also played a little bit of saxophone. This is
Wow.
like when you're forced to go into a jazz band because there's no other bands at your school and you just really want to play something.
Right.
So yeah, so there's a couple other instruments, but I think synth and computer synthesis, computer music stuff is what is the most interesting to me. I love piano though.
I'm
there's
the
no
same.
doubt.
I'm the same way. Now, Conrad, you were more of a rock guy, right? Conrad's not even there. It's just a picture of Conrad.
Yeah, I think he's cloned himself and the clone is
I'm
frozen.
telling you.
I'm frozen. I'm moving on my side pretty well.
Can you come back?
Well,
you
you
hear
know
me?
what? It's probably, yeah, we can hear you. It's probably fine.
Oh.
And that was something I forgot to tell you guys, because I get a little thing that I don't know if it pops up on yours, but it says the end recording will be different and much clearer than the session. So, and it always,
yeah.
that's always the case.
Oh,
So you're probably doing fine. But
Yeah.
no, you were sitting so still. Did you guys ever watch those disturbing YouTube videos? And there's one where this guy just sits and stares at the camera. It's like 10 years old and he doesn't move, but you can see like in the window, the trees moving and stuff behind him. And they last like 7 hours where he just stares at the camera, and it's, you watch 5 minutes of it. You're like, geez, Louise. And there was one where somebody
That's
broke
really
into his
trippy.
house and he didn't move. He didn't break. There was a burglar stealing his stuff.
What is
I'm
going
like,
on?
geez.
What a strange mind that you came up with that all of a sudden. That's amazing. That's the artist.
Well, no,
mind right
because we're seeing this picture of you where you're just staring directly into and I thought, well, maybe he's done that, but I'm glad you're okay.
and
So that's
also he manages to speak without moving his mouth, at least to us right now.
there. Telepathy.
it's like in my mental brain. Yeah. I think Conrad's an alien.
Oh,
Charlie.
I was going to say something.
Maybe
which is-
we're just having a different interface to the Matrix right now. Everything else is happening, but we're just not seeing it.
I was going to say also that there was this, some people say, well, like, what's their main instrument? And while as an instrumentalist type of person, it would be guitar, and Steph pointed out that computer is kind of the main instrument, to be honest. As weird as it might sound, but it's just like you can do everything from there. And if you use it like an instrument, and it is probably the most instrumental instrument there is. I mean, people have been doing digital recording since the time when they thought it was still analog. And I thought, wow, all these times in it. Just next time if you're in the record store looking, just look where it says in the bottom. It'll say mastered or mixed in digital, and they're like, yes, we did it. We did this in digital because it's the most clean at the time. And at the time, they didn't want all that analog noise, which now we try to put it back in because we missed it. But
there's apps for that. Yes.
Yeah. I saw this movie, by the way, with J. Fox, and it had Trent Reznor playing in a band at the time. And I never knew anything about this. And I was like, what? Trent Reznor's playing in and they had a Simmons drum. And this is where it all comes back together, which is behind Steph now. And he was playing this kind of synth pop shoulder pads kind of band, like doing the kind of, this kind of 80s.
And Jamie Foxx was the main guy in it. I'm trying to think if I've seen that because I want to see it. Oh, Michael J. Fox. Oh, okay. Running a different program now. Oh, I can't think of it. I'll do an IMDb search and track that down. And that sounds amazing. That's, the cool thing is you're absolutely right. I grew up I'm a little old, not a little old, I'm pretty old. I grew up in the 80s and whatnot and in Detroit at the time in the early 80s, the techno scene had just come on and everybody, black, white, didn't matter. Everybody was obsessed with Kraftwerk. Any club you went to, you were going to hear Kraftwerk. That was just how it was. And there were all these crazy bands, Nates Arab and everything that was coming out of Europe at the time that we all just couldn't get enough of. And so I grew up loving synth-pop, really, synthesized music. And then being a weirdo artist, of course, I started getting into, different weird stuff and whatnot. And I can't think of it. I had a band name and right on the tip of my tongue and I was yell cool and stuff. And now I can't think of it.
There's a lot of amazing bands, obviously at that time that actually they were already doing synthesizer kind of music much earlier.
Right.
That I didn't even know. I thought it was definitely 80s sounding music, but then you look and it's like 1976
yeah.
I mean, there's Jordan, for example, which is, in Donna Summer and this kind of thing back in early 70s,
amazing
78, whatever. Yeah. It was like arpeggiator things going on. And at the time you're like, whoa, how do they do that? Even Queen, I think, was using some kind of arpeggiator. Radio Gaga.
And like Radio Gaga? Yeah, it's amazing. And there's so many cool things. Well, then, I got into, like I said, I went kind of from synth pop to techno, then into the rave scene. I met a girl. She had some vitamins and, the next 10 years I was doing that. And then in the 90s, I really got into people doing exactly what you were talking about, Conrad, using the computer and specifically sampling and making really cool music with it, like the British jungle scene with like Aphex Twin and whatnot. And they were making this phenomenal music that I felt bad. If you were a garage band, how were you couldn't replicate that? I knew guys that were in a band. They're like, we're going to be a Depeche Mode cover band. I'm like, every sound is a sample how are you going to do that? No, we're not. You've got 3 guitarists. You can that ain't gonna work.
I knew
that. But I guess you could make it work. But yeah, it's cool. But you guys, we were talking about this before we started the recording. We're going to play it. Angelica's the latest single. and it's phenomenal. I got the email. I clicked on the link tree thing so I can listen to it. It's like an opus. It's an epic, like a symphony almost, I mean, you expect that, and I understand you guys are using synthesizers and computers and stuff, but it just has that feel, that big feel of like a symphony, a symphony of keyboards, it's really amazing. Do you start out with that in mind? Is it like you're like, okay, we're going to do this to make it really big? Or do you just kind of have a melody and a chorus and a hook, like a mainstream band? So how does that
I
happen?
think, well, both of us are attracted to these kind of really larger than life kind of sounds because it takes you to a different world. I think probably what's going to happen. So like in this album, we really explored that quite a lot. In the next few tracks, which are coming out, it increases in style. So we've kind of went to that direction for this album. And probably in the next album, we're going to go probably really minimal, super like everything's organic again. But even though there's organic, I mean, this is one of the first time in any of our albums, we're playing like really crazy lead and like stuff is shredding on the synth and just doing classical kind of stuff. I'm playing the fast guitar I've ever played on anything. And I didn't even know I could do it. And I was like, oh, wow, I did that. How'd that happen? And then I couldn't do the take twice though. It was only once. It was a one taker.
Then you need a hand
and then-
massage. Yeah, because you're going to down hard. It's amazing.
Yeah. And also like tapping into this angelic feeling because the song is about that. Like we kind of imagined what it would be like if and like how angels like it's kind of like that feeling as at the moment of your passing and transitioning into artificial intelligence or passing or transitioning into death or another form of life. And so we're thinking about it from that point of view. And what does that feel like? And just you're laying there and there's this light coming down and that light could be like an alien light, you can think about however you want, or it's the kind of the light as you're transforming into this other kind of consciousness. And so what does that feel and sound like? And in what kind of texture does that have and all this kind of stuff. And so I wanted to create that kind of world. Yeah. And also this song is way
I think
a normal song. I think it's 7.5 minutes. So
Yeah. Good minutes. You don't mind. Before I heard the song and I saw the timestamp on it, my first thought, being an old club rat, was DJs are going to love this because that's a bathroom song. It's one a track you can put on, go to the bathroom, get a beer, come back and get the next one ready. There's not a lot of club tracks where you can do that necessarily. And then I heard it and I'm like, no, you could go do something else. You have this hooks you and you have to sit and listen to, I mean, there's no walking away from this track. It's amazing. What were you going to say, Stephanie? I didn't mean to interrupt. I'm sorry.
Oh, no worries. I think I was just going to say that with this song, what was a bit interesting and different was that we started performing it, it was a song to begin with. We started performing it for the first time at this TEDx thing that we performed for back in California, I think, a few years before we finally released it. And then there was, this like original idea what the song is about, but then we just kind of, blessed with this luxury of having some extra time to work on the song. And somehow it took on different meaning because of life experience in those years. And as the song was getting produced, we kind of had experienced some personal loss, or Conrad did. And that kind of like added to that original conception of it that was more sci-fi. So then it kind of has this different soul, and yeah, it was cool. It was cool to also like be able to have these different layers of layering all of different feelings and being able to, what you were saying, have this opportunity to kind of orchestrate and play with the different layers of instruments in this more orchestral way, I guess. So it was great.
Well, it's amazing. In my opinion, that and 40 cents will buy you a cup of coffee. It's an old joke, Jamie. Update it. That and $5.40 will buy you a cup of coffee. No, one of the I think science fiction's great when you don't use the humanity lesson in it. And I think, I don't know this road bump you hit, Conrad. I don't know any of the details of that or anything, and it's really none of my business, but perhaps perhaps it manifested in a good way in this track. This track is definitely science fiction feel. It's got a vibe to it, but there's also a human vibe to it as well. And to me, that's good art. That's all I'm saying. I think that's very cool. So, I know it sounds trite when people say, "Oh, silver linings." Yeah, try it. But
No, it's true. I mean, there's things are made under significant pressure or stress or whatever, or like some kind of interesting thing happens. And because I feel like way the me and Steph kind of move through the world it's weird. Like you're an artist. And so my father's also an artist. My aunt is an artist, like painting as well. And so all of us are coming from this art and music kind of world. And it's like the way that we interpret the world. I mean, I don't know what it's like I'm sure that a lot of people think that like some people are more sensitive in that way to the feeling things or like absorbing things and then also reflecting that back out or making something out of it or creating something that feels just awesome. And yeah, you're right. I think that was kind of like the whole original idea of the band to begin with was there's the two, the beautiful and the machine. Like there's the humanity, the technology. And this kind of album was really like a culmination of that whole idea just put right to for once. Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. No, Stephanie, you mentioned the TED thing. I saw that the other day. I shared it. I reposted it and on social media. And I don't know, maybe it isn't that big a deal to you guys, but to me, I'm like, holy moly, they performed at a TED thing. That's pretty cool. That's pretty awesome. I was pretty impressed. I don't know. Was that Conrad? You had mentioned in the post that it was hard for you to do. You're not a big extrovert. Is that the right word? You were a little nervous on that?
Yeah, I would just, in a Florida story would be that actually, so like when I went to university the first time, Steph knows this, but the very first year I was in a class where it was just an English class. And this professor or teacher was more focused on interaction and wanting people to speak about things out loud. And so I would come into class and then like the first day I'm like, oh no, not this kind of thing. Where you have to get up and you have to say something about you and all these other people and you have to the dialogue. And so, like,
I'm with you, Conrad.
Then the next day,
the worst.
Then the next day, I don't know what it was. At that time, I had some weird feelings about it. Now I think I'm way over it. But at the time, it was really hard. And actually what happened was I went and I would get at 8 a.m. I would get beer before going and sit in the car and just chug a ton of beer, thinking that's going to help. And it didn't. And I was like, oh man, this is
makes it worse.
If that doesn't work. And then of course and so then I did that for a few days, didn't work. And then actually it culminated in me making the bad decision to drop out of university. I came back up and I got over it. But it was weird. It's like, I don't know what's going on. It's like, is it because you're thinking about yourself that much? Is it a self thing? But I wasn't. I was kind of, I don't know. As you grow up though, you realize that's just silliness. And you can just easily get up and speak about things now. And also I think doing it more often, like going out and performing, is helpful to get over that. But the speaking part, yeah, that was still tough, even at that TEDx, for sure. It was hard.
No, I know Stephanie never had an issue like that. She was never a wallflower. I've seen video of you playing live and stuff. You were right here, right now, Stephanie. You're a performer. Were you always that way?
No, I don't
Really?
think of myself as that though. I just
You think it well because I'm up. Like, I got this, no problem.
I always okay. I feel like I'm always kind of thinking, what am I doing? I'm just standing still. I'm not doing anything. Oh well. At least I have a mask.
That's cool. That is so cool. Well, let me ask you. So the TED thing, did you guys have to submit? Was this like a thing where you said, "Hey, here's our track and check it out," and they got
Actually,
back to you, or how does that even work? What are the mechanics involved in that?
it was there was some synchronicity happening. At the time we went to San Francisco TEDx. We met the founder of the whole TEDx thing, who we've remained friends with ever since after that. And and then also one of the speakers at that first one was a younger girl. I think at the time she was 17, was it? Or maybe
Right.
less, like 16, 17. And she was very confident and got out and they were speaking with, boisterousness and, flair. And then she decided to host a TEDx event herself. So I thought that's weird. And I think she became maybe the youngest host of TEDx's at the time. And the theme for it was ideas for the future. So we had met her in advance at the first one, which we just decided we wanted to actually kind of volunteer at and hang out and just be around. We actually like to go. It's kind of a nerdy thing that we like to do. We go to things that are ridiculous for people like us to go to. We went to London recently we just flew there to go to
Right.
the top 50 tech innovations in the world conference thing. Something like that. What was it?
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was it was like a 3-day conference on the most innovative idea, um, you know, ideators of the world
Yeah.
for the year.
It was,
And we're
So
like, oh,
cool.
okay, the good thing about being Europe is you can get a flight ticket for like less than how much you have to pay for the gas to get you to the airport. Let's go there. All right, let's go. And then we're like, wow, what are we doing here? This is so cool. But like this guy is like building the first flying carport in Dubai.
yeah.
I mean, they all look like UFOs and little capsules flying around.
That's
And we're just
amazing.
here, like, giving feedback and stuff. It's
Those
really
are the
weird.
people
We're
I
definitely
want
the
at my dinner
here.
party. Then you guys are meeting them. That's so good. That is so good. Oh man. No, I get what you're saying. I used to do that when I first went to California. I would go, well, I was trying to sell paintings, so I would go to all the high end places that high end people, people with money were hanging out at. And all of my friends were like, well, why aren't you going to the goth club with us? I'm like, because nobody has any money to buy paintings at the goth club. I got an electric bill due, I got to do it, man. And then it just got to a point where it was like, yeah, every so often I'd go to the regular place. No, you start meeting people that are doing stuff and you get inspired. It's like, this guy's making a movie. I better do something if I want to hang. But it's true.
Speaking of goth clubs, you're living in Miami, and as weird as it might be, such like sunny tropical place, there's like this synthwave big time vibe in Miami. If you're familiar,
Oh yeah,
there's a lot of
absolutely.
bands even called Miami Horror, and like there's that
The
whole
vaporwave
neon.
thing is still happening here. Very hardcore. Yeah, it's interesting. I don't go to clubs that much anymore. The reality is, in my opinion, if you're the old guy at a club, unless you own the club, you just kind of come off a little creepy. You know what I mean? It's like, and I go to bed too early. I go to bed early and I get up early. That's the thing. My wife, she's 15 years younger than me. She has no problem. She's like, we pass each other in the morning. I'm getting up, coming into the studio here, and she's going to bed at that time, She's got lots of girlfriends. She goes out. She's like, me and the girls are going to go out clubbing this. I'm like, hey, have fun. Want some money? Enjoy. I'm staying home with the dog. Thank you very much. Watching Antiques Roadshow or something. I have a Shar-Pei, the wrinkly ones. A little wrinkly dog. Yeah, it looks like a brain. Yeah, she's pretty cool. I got her. I didn't plan on getting a dog. It was about probably 2016, so almost 8-9 years ago. I didn't plan on it. It just kind of happened. We met somebody who ran a rescue and wound up with a dog. But it was the best thing that ever happened to me. Best thing that ever happened to me. Changed my view. A lot of people don't realize when you have a dog, you have to keep your mind positive because the dog will feed off your vibes. If you're in a crappy mood, the dog's going to be in a crappy mood. So at first she was like really high strung and upset and barking at everybody and just mean. And then I realized, well, yeah, she's sitting there listening to me scream at the TV or yell at the news or something. And then she's in the corner, getting all worked up. So I stopped doing that, and started thinking about positive things. And then she was in a much better mood. Here we are.
Yeah.
Wow.
I try to.
On your.
Yeah. She helped me.
Here's
Little pup angel.
This is my little pup that I used to have back in the day. And her name was Rio. Just like the song.
The Dream song. Yes. One of my favorite bands.
Oh,
we love animals though. Like, I think that's as sci-fi and as futuristic as we are. I like if we don't get our animal connection time in on a regular basis, because
have to have it.
Oh man, like we just go into the wild.
Have to have it.
And yeah,
animals are so interesting because they all have like little personalities, and if a lot of people will say, "Oh, the animals, yeah, they might be a nice animal or a happy cat or something," but they don't know. Like my wife is really into, she's Florida. So she wanted a snake. We have a pet snake, and It's in this very expensive, ginormous. Every animal we have is pretty spoiled.
Is it a python?
It's a ball python, but it's an albino python, so it's all white with like red eyes.
Cool.
And its enclosure, the tank and everything, is underneath on a wall in the living room's big TV. We watch, beautiful machine videos on that, and the enclosure's underneath that. And she'll come out of her little house thing when I'm watching television and then sit up there and stare at the TV and watch it. And she loves to watch television. It's the weirdest thing. I'm like, it's a snake. Can it see? Can it understand? But she can't. Like, she'll follow certain characters with her head and stuff. It's amazing. Little personality.
One of the most
That's awesome.
things is that people think that, I don't know where this idea ever came from, that animals don't have consciousness or something, where they're just not aware of their surroundings, which is kind of just insane. I don't know where that came from, whether they even had to think about scientifically proving it until they found yes, we think now that dogs might be conscious. Oh my.
Yeah.
Just horrible.
They all dream. They all dream. I don't know what they dream about, but they're, I always say, the dog's chasing a rabbit. The dog could probably be, I don't know, having some weird lucid dream that if the dog's anything like me, it probably has some messed up dreams once in a while. Watch too many things before bed. It's weird. It's weird. My wife's into all that stuff, man. She watches stuff. I watch science stuff. I like science and technology. That's my thing. I'll watch a program, a 2-hour-long documentary on the deep ocean trench, and find it fascinating. I'm like, oh, look at that creature. It's so cool. My wife, not so, kind of, but if there's ghosts in it, she's all there. She's like, look at this footage. I'm like, yeah, sweetie, it's the wind. It's blowing, it's not. She goes, you don't know. She's into arts. She's much more the horror person. I'm more the sci-fi person.
Okay, she's horror paranormal stuff.
Oh, she loves it.
You're into the science and the sci-fi.
Yeah, she can't get it. True crime she watches. I'm like, geez. I'm like, let me guess. The woman killed her husband. He was messing around or something. She's like, well, yeah, he deserved it. I'm like, geez, Louise, you don't know. You're not in that situation. Maybe that woman's not nice. I agree. Maybe they probably shouldn't have been together. Yeah, I don't think there had been a crime that we have not watched, or I have not walked through the room when she's watching it on. It's insane.
And the whole time, your snake is just learning all these different ways to kill people very discreetly and get away with it.
You know what movie the snake really likes? And this makes me a little nervous. Godzilla. Any Godzilla movie, that snake is.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, the snake will look
That's
at
so
the TV,
cute.
and then look at me, and then look at and you just see in the snake's face, it's going, someday, buddy.
I when
Better
broke
watch.
me that thing. My favorite snake is from a movie called, Escape from LA.
Oh, yeah. Snake Plissken.
Call me Snake.
That's
Called
right.
Snake.
That is right. It is, again, another great film. Both of those are fantastic. People complained about Escape from LA. I liked Escape from LA. I thought it's, yeah, I've lived in California. Very true. I can see people surfing tsunamis. Absolutely. The cult of plastic surgery people. Like,
Oh
you
my
can
gosh,
see
that
this
was
today.
scary.
Go to Beverly Hills, man. You can see that. You can see that in Miami
cult.
today. Ooh. Any. Let me ask though, do you guys just like when you watch movies and TV shows or whatever you're doing, go into these fabulous parties with these really cool people? You just carry around a pad of paper and you're like, oh, that's a good idea for a song. I better write that down. Where do all these ideas come from? Or do you just keep of course you guys keep them in your phones. I don't use a phone, so I didn't even think about it. But is your phone just chock full of ideas?
Sometimes I would the computer's more full. I mean, Steph, you can respond to it. I mean, I can tell you what Steph does from an outsider perspective, because she probably can't tell you what she does because she doesn't realize the amazing gift that it is that she's doing. She just sit there and go, just kind of hum something, and then later write down on staff in notation what those notes were, doing it like with mathematical precision, like a machine. And she really believes
A
that that's
beautiful
normal
machine.
human behavior.
Right.
Yeah.
Can everybody do that?
Yeah. And
No,
I'm like,
Stephanie, they can't. It's amazing. She's like a savant. I love
yeah,
it. I love it.
I would say so. And also another aspect is like, yeah, sometimes I'll hum something into it, but I would say the majority of the time it's like, it's just synthesized, it permeating in your being. Or yeah, if you have an idea, you'll just capture it. But weirdest thing is asking artists where ideas come from. Like, it
Right.
just kind of it's spontaneous, or it feels like it's been channeled, or it feels like it's sometimes not coming from you, or it comes from something else. Or sometimes the weirdest thing is sometimes it happens really fast and it's really intricate. And it's like, it's as if you got some message. Do you know what I mean? I don't know if this has ever happened. I'm sure it's happened to you. Steph, it's happened to you.
Absolutely.
Like, I'll just be saying, just sit still right now and just put this out, and it just comes through.
Yesterday, I have different types of clients. I have people that like abstract art. I have people, that I paint and they want movie stars. Other people, everybody wants different stuff. And I have some horror paintings I do. And I've got a whole crowd of people. That's what they like. And that's cool. That's fine. I don't care. Money's all green, so it doesn't matter. But yesterday I was talking to one of my horror art collectors and he wants a new painting. And I said, well, what do you want? And he goes, well, here's a band. Listen to this band and be inspired. I'm like, okay. So, and I asked my wife's standing here and he can't hear this part of the conversation. And I said, well, I don't understand. Does he want me to paint the band? And she's like, no, nitwit. He wants you to paint something of the vibe that this. I'm like, okay. So it's a screamo Norwegian, band, and it sounds like Cookie Monster singing, rah, rah, rah. But it was kind of cool. And I had no idea what this guy, no idea. And I said, well, let me sleep on it. I'll have something in the morning. And she's like, what do you mean you'll have something in the morning? I said, trust the process. I know how this works. So I went to bed last night. Did not dream about that band. Did not have terrible, untoward night. Maybe I shouldn't be saying this. Yes, I had horrible nightmares. It was demons and but I didn't, to be honest. But I woke up and I'm like, oh, yeah. Hot girl, barbed wire, lying on a tire, in a post-apocalyptic scene. Got it, So I messaged the guy. Oh, look, so this is what I'm seeing when I woke up. And he's like, that's perfect. That's perfect. And I'm like, there you go. Thank you, whoever gave me that idea. I didn't have a clue. But yeah, it's interesting how, then it's like you were saying with Stephanie, there's some weird part of me that says, well, everybody's like that. I imagine the guy who designs brake pads or something probably just goes to sleep and wakes up with the new brake pad design. I have no idea if that's true or not. I don't know who designs brake pads, but I just think that everybody's that way. Just probably like you were saying, Stephanie thinks everybody knows musical notation. I certainly don't. You know, but when you hear you see musical notation like in your brain on the TV screen in your head, it's just there.
Yeah, I just hear the notes. I know the names of all the notes, and then I just write them down.
That's
You mean that
amazing.
doesn't happen to you?
No, not at all. I couldn't even hum it back to you properly. You know, Conrad probably could. You guys are musicians. You know, that's amazing.
Conrad can do it.
I always wondered that. Like, you listen to like Beethoven and stuff, and it's a whole symphony and stuff. And I've been told, I don't know this for a fact, but because I always wondered, I'm like, when he composed a symphony, did he like go, okay, the French horns are coming in here and the strings have to happen here? And somebody told me, they're like, no, Jamie, he did it all on the piano and then he orchestrated it out afterwards, you know? And I'm like, I don't understand. I couldn't.
I think they're all kind of different, but actually just recently came across like Mozart was really fast. He just goes, oh yeah, that's how it's supposed to go. And then he writes the whole entire thing from beginning to end and he's done and it's perfect. And that's why people hated him. And then Beethoven's was like tormented. He would like, it's long. His process is really long. And they're like, you know, he has to like do a whole bunch of things before he gets into the zone. And like, he has to have like breakfast a certain way or anyway, he has rituals that he has to go through. And he like meticulously goes through things and goes through them like 100 times.
No, are you guys like that? Is there like, you have to be in a certain mindset because as a fan, as somebody in the audience, we look at what you do and we're like, oh yeah, they just do that on a Tuesday morning. That's just what they do. They're amazing, you know, like certain tracks, like do they fight you sometimes? I have paintings. I mean, I'll get it done, but man, I have ones that fight me and I want to throw the thick canvas in the street. You know, I'm like, ooh, you know, I get worked up on some of this stuff. So some come really easy, but not all. Does that happen with you guys as well?
Yeah, of course. Of course. Because the weird thing is that it's the tracks. Here's a weird thing I'm realizing now. The tracks that you spend the most time on, you feel like you put so much energy into it. Therefore, that should be the track that you put out. And but now I'm realizing, well, if it just comes faster or like, that doesn't make it any less better or anything like that. It just means that somehow it's just more slippery. I don't know. And it just happened faster. Like one of the songs we had was called Real Love. And that one was, for me, I thought was really fast. It did it like, I don't know, a day or something like that. It was just it felt simple. It felt easy. And you can hear the chorus and the hook. And then these other ones where it's more meticulous and there's many layers of things going on where you can, and also one thing is the really cool part is when you're listening to the music, if you actually get to hear the music without certain pieces on at a time, it'll sound like you can make like 10 songs out of one song just by focusing on certain parts. Like if you just drop the drums out and just have this bass synth part here that you kind of hear the movement of it, but it's playing counterpoint to another part here. And if you play that with a counterpoint synth RP thing. And so like when we're in the studio and listening back, I'm like, dang, I wish we could just release that part as a whole thing by itself. Cause that feels like another song, but it's the same song. But if you take it out of context, it doesn't sound like anything. It doesn't, you know? And I thought that was just super cool. You know, yeah.
And then sometimes Conrad would produce things and there's like so many different layers and there's so many things going on. But then if you like actually take apart the layers, and then it becomes a different part of the song.
Amazing.
So it's like he heard all the ideas at once and he had them all in layers, but then they're supposed to be actually like unfolding over time.
Yeah, I'm still learning, to be honest. Just trying to figure it out one day at a time.
Now,
and
one of the great things about you guys' music also, of course, is the lyric, poetry. It's fantastic, relatable, and very cool. Is that just another layer in the track to you guys, or do you give special more attention to lyrics? Are those harder to do than the orchestration of the big sound of everything else? Like in Angelica, like a track like Angelica.
I would say depends on the song, but and with Angelica, that one, it was written one way, and then the actual lyrics, which makes up the main part of the song now, wasn't even part of the song ever in the beginning. That
Really?
came kind of towards the end. Like we actually went out and played it before Steph was mentioning it at that TEDx event. And at that time, there was none of that in it at all. And then we were living in Estonia, and then I felt like, oh, I'm gonna try this here. And then it was like this more soft, ballady, take all the music down, really quiet, and become more like something a bit different. And then when I'm playing it at certain times, then I get like something like chills, and I'll feel like, okay, that feels like the right thing. I'm gonna do that, and that's it. Even though somebody else might listen to it and be like, oh, that's absolute bollocks. It is absolute shy. At the time, I'll be listening to it, and I'll think that sounds pretty interesting, and so that's how that became. And then with lyrics on a few songs, I'll sit there like sometimes it's very Leonard Cohen-y, like, if you know what I mean. He's like, he thinks about what word means what and how that's related to this. And there's a whole like matrix in your head of mathematical word play connections and that kind of stuff. And so
It's so
in that
true.
one, there's a lot of that comes from my 1102 English connotative and denotative expression of words. And also there's like allegorical things going on, and there's a bunch of, but
Well, that's the
all
cool
that
thing.
is
And
to
any
say that
youngsters out there who have no idea who
anyways,
Leonard
and they're
Cohen
gonna,
is, check
whatever
him
I'm thinking
out,
about doesn't
because
mean
every
anything to
song,
them. They're just gonna,
exactly like Conrad said, is like 4 songs in one, sometimes more. It was cool cat. All I'm saying. Cool stuff. That's a good question. That's a good question to ask you guys. Influences. Who are you guys currently jazzed on as far as music goes? What's tickling the fancy?
Steph, you want?
Yeah, we listen to all different kinds of stuff. So, okay, so I would just discover a different type of mood in some, then I'll go on a playlist hunt and look for them. Sometimes it's like dark academia, like really moody, like neoclassical stuff, or, and sometimes it's like cyberpunk dark synth kind of world. And other times it's you know, like really simple, like bright meditative things. It all depends. I mean, we listen to, so I would say it's not really, it's like there's a certain like quality and there's certain like personality that exudes out from the music. And that's what we get inspired by, like lately we discovered this producer before, but he like disappeared from the scene. His name is Silent. From a while ago, he was doing complextral stuff, and we really liked his style and thought he was a really good producer. And he like disappeared from the thing for a while, but then I found out
Met a
that he
girl.
basically stopped being that one. Actually, he went and just took on a totally different name.
Oh,
And, wore like a mask and put on sunglasses, and nobody knows who he is, but he's doing this other type of music. But the funny thing is, like, you can hear the soul of the person in there. So you're like, that even though it's a totally different genre of music, I think it's familiar. And then we're like, oh shit, it's that guy.
that's awesome.
Like psytrance, a lot of times Conrad's listening for interesting production techniques. And I mean, I just can't help but hear like the melodic and the different types of like orchestration layered on top of each other. But yeah, we have so many different types of inspirations.
Different mood for different. It's like RoboCop 2, when they had this drug called Nuke, and he said there's
Yeah.
a nuke for every mood. And so there's something,
Yeah.
but each one, you want like this amazing feeling. So I'm listening for a feeling or a sense, and it could be in any kind of music. I would say a lot of times it's not in really strict pop music. Usually I don't get a feeling from that one, but you can find some kind of a tangent, or sorry, like some kind of adjacent music that's poppy, it's done so well. You're like, man, production is what the feeling that you get from it. So like when I first listen to music, what do you take from it? What do you feel? And sometimes it's like super technical. You're like just mind blown by the not complexity, but the way the choice of why they did this. It's like my dad really likes, who's his favorite artist?
Is it ZZ Top?
No, not music artist. His favorite painter.
Oh, it's Van Gogh.
Thank you, Jesus. Yes. And at the time, like you can feel the energy in his strokes, and like you can just feel that
Absolutely.
texture of the methods that he uses. And I'm completely relate to what he's saying there from a sonic point of view. And then I'm listening to him, like, for example, like Ade Fenton, which is Gary Numan's producer, worked on our track Control. And when we went to visit him, he was also talking about, he's really into Nine Inch Nails and Reznor and into the sound quality of synth sounds and the kind of, there's a certain thing and you're looking for that and you're kind of like a filter and you're listening for these things and those things make you feel something. And so then it's like, in a way, you're like a big butterfly collector, just swooping around and trying to find these sounds. Ultimately, you just listen to a song and you like it. But why you
Absolutely.
like it, that's where it gets more complex.
Yeah. And I think a lot of times I would like feel a certain way and then I'll end up associating it with some kind of like video game soundtrack. It's, like, I don't know if you play video games, but
my wife's the gamer.
Sometimes you're like,
I watch her play.
What? Okay.
I'm a good cheerleader, Oh, watch out for that girl. Watch out for that girl.
But then you have that experience, right? And then I'm sure that with her, sometimes you're in it for like many hours and you're literally like living through that experience. And then the soundtrack is so important as part of that experience. So I would say like film soundtrack, video game soundtracks, also because you're so invested emotionally in the experience, then it like forges this thing with you. And that's another source of our inspiration too.
Absolutely. I love ambience. If I'm working on a particular painting of a certain vein, I'll find a good 3-hour YouTube video of just ambience of whatever, a thunderstorm rolling in or whatever. No, I totally get what you're saying. Totally. And your father's right about Van Gogh paintings. What people don't get, they're like a vinyl record, man. They're all that thick paint delivers a vibe. It works.
Yeah.
Very effectively. We'll try real hard to get that and don't always. Let me ask you guys, while we're here, we're going to play we're going to play Angelica, of course, and we've talked about. So let's just all have put that in. But the other track that we're going to play is one called Survive. Now, what we'll do, folks, is we'll play it. And through the magic of video, we're going to play it right now. Check this out.
Trapped in your headspace, feeling alive.
And we're back. How cool is that? It's like transporter. For those at home, this is where
Man,
I have just added that in,
was like
in the editing process. But tell us about Survive. What is how did this come about? Tell us about it. Because it's a phenomenal track.
okay. So we were during pandemic. We were at one point we were in Nepal. We went to Kathmandu, and we were listening to that song.
Every time I check on you guys, you're in a different country. It's amazing. And it's a cool country. Yeah, there's a global pandemic. Let's go to Nepal. Why not? How cool is that? You're like Indiana Jones.
I wish. Yeah, that would be so cool. Airships.
Oh man, that's a good way to get that. Yeah, and
That's what you guys.
so we were there, and there was like this there was an earthquake in Nepal before, which rocked the place, and there's just rubble everywhere.
I
There's
remember
people
that.
there surviving and getting by, and also it's during a pandemic, so it felt very post-apocalyptic. And while we're there, funny that place has really actually influenced a bit of number of our music. Interesting. Yeah. So yeah, we're there, and there's a spiritual aspect to it as well. And then the lyrics, like for me at least, it wasn't me saying I know what to survive. It's more like there's something inside telling me, like it, or for a person that's listening to their inner to know what it takes to survive something in whatever way, an emotional way, whatever. Actually, what happened was we heard that there was possibility that there was going to be another lockdown where like they shut down the airports and everything. And then people were saying the last time that something like that happened was they shut down for like 3 or 6 months. If that happens, we're in Nepal, there's no way out, and there's no road transport. Where were we going to go anyway? To India, and so there was a wave of India. What the COVID surge was rising at that time, and so we're looking, and Steph and I, and probably Steph mostly, was acute to recognize that, oh man, if we don't get out of here, like we should get out of here pretty soon, like in the next day or 2 days or something, if we can, and just find a flight. But you don't know. Nobody's made it because once they actually said that we're going to close it down, that's it. Then they close it out instantly, and then you can't leave. And so then we just decided to book a flight. And I think it was 3 or 4.5 days later. It turns out that was the very last flight out of Nepal that we were on, and that was the end of it. And if we got late or missed it, or maybe they said, maybe you can try to take the next one, it's like 6 months later, don't worry about it. But luckily, oh man, that was kind of stressful actually, but it was super cool. It was a cool story, and it's like it was
absolutely
Indiana Jones.
As my grandfather would say,
but then
the creator was talking to you. You guys were smart enough to listen. That's good. That's a good thing.
Yeah, otherwise we would be like trying to squat at some kind of hostel, like halfway up the base camp trail, and going, just let us stay here. You can't kick us out now. We're going to be here for 6 months.
I'm telling you. Oh, it's crazy. It's crazy. We got married the week before they closed everything down here stateside. And I had my best friend at our wedding from high school, and me and her were joking around about it. We're like, oh yeah, because we look pretty nice. And so we were like, this is going to be like it always is. There's just people, they're trying to sell newspapers, blah, blah, blah. And so then we got married, and then we didn't want to go on a big honeymoon. So, we're living in Florida. Where do you go in Florida for the weekend if you want to just go somewhere? We went to Disney, of course. And I'll never forget, we were in Epcot, and they have like the different little parts. Basically, it's your guys' life in a theme park. They have different little countries that are set up and restaurants.
Nice.
You guys actually go to the countries, we go to Orlando. But anyway, we were at this Japanese, I don't know what the name is. You ever go to those steakhouses where you're sitting with a bunch of people and the guy comes out and makes like a volcano out of onions? And
it's called teppanyaki.
Yeah. He's doing that. And I don't carry a cell phone, not because it's cool. I just tend to lose things, and cell phones are expensive. And my wife has a cell phone, or a smartphone, and I'm always with her. So I'm like, yeah, she can worry about that. I don't have, it's one less thing for me to mess up. And so we're sitting there with all these people. We don't know these people. We're sitting there and everybody's phone starts, it was like a movie. Everybody's phone starts going off at once. And they're all looking, and I'm seeing the color drain out of everybody's face. And I look at my wife, I'm like, what the hell's going on? Do we need to get under this table? Are the missiles flying? What's happening? And she's looking at her phone. She's like, Disney's closing the park tomorrow. And I'm like, they're closing. Disney's walking away from money. This is serious. We got to get the hell out of here. So we left that night, came back home, because I know if Disney's giving out money, it's serious. And yeah, I wasn't worried about the health things. I should have probably been. I wasn't. I watch science fiction movies. I've seen Mad Max. And I know that everybody assumes they're going to be the guy with the mohawk on the motorcycle. The reality is you're probably going to be the guy that's chained and welded to the motorcycle. And I don't want to be him. So, we got home and me and the dog were patrolling the yard. We thought we were real tough. I got the machete out, just in case they're coming to our house. Nobody did. Nobody cared, but I was prepared. I had seen a lot of movies anyhow, but your guys' story is much better.
A lot of the people who are preppers are really looking forward to these times. They're like, if you've seen that movie, Tremors, there was these guys. So those people are like, yeah, about time. I feel like I'm alive now.
Absolutely.
That way. Like, they almost get looking forward to it in a way until it's been going on for like a month. They're like, okay, this.
That sucks.
No groceries and the toilet paper. For some reason,
my big thing, my first year in Florida, they had a hurricane, and I'm like, it might be a little exciting. How cool. The hurricane is terrible because it takes forever to get here. It's like watching a turtle attack you. It takes like 4 or 5 days for it to arrive. And then it does. And then you lose power and you're without power. And everybody's like, yeah, well, you guys have a fire pit. You could just barbecue outside it. I'm like, it's hot outside and now it's hot inside. With no power means no AC. And hurricanes don't come in the wintertime in Florida. They come in the summertime and the worst possible time. And they suck. They suck. Wasn't that it's scary? It's
really fun. I was telling Steph about a hurricane party when I was in university, and there was one that was coming through, and it was a pretty strong one at the time. Maybe category 5, actually.
Steph, all these crazy Floridians like Conrad, they have parties when these things happen. They're like, woohoo!
Oh, man.
And they shoot at it.
It last
kidding.
It's true.
There was some somehow, and the wind was pretty strong. Trees were down. The power lines were down. We had candles and plenty of things to eat and vitamins. Because of that, we were able to hold down the fort.
I hear you. I was young once too, Conrad. I liked those vitamins, man. You have to if you're listening to.
One of the good things that probably a lot of people don't know about, but maybe some of your listeners might be interested to know that when, U.S. and Canada, everybody made Mary Jane marijuana legal, cannabis, it's legal now in Germany. And you can actually, 3 plants per household or more, something like that.
Per person.
Yeah.
If you have 5 people living at your house, you can have 15 plants. That's a lot.
You're like Pablo Escobar now. No, that's funny.
Yeah.
Everybody everybody thinks that I do it, that I'm a vape. And they're like, oh, vaping that funny stuff, aren't you? I'm like, menthol. I wouldn't get anything done, man. I'd just go to sleep a lot. In my younger days, I may or may not, I'm not admitting to anything for legal reasons.
Yeah, you're on video now.
Yeah. I may have done a little harder stuff. Old Mary Jane, but some of these people need it though. I meet people and I'm like, that guy just needs a joint. That guy needs a joint real bad. Maybe a kiss of a pretty girl, I don't know. But or a good ass kick. That's the other thing. I'm always seeing those guys who've never been in a fight, who've never lost a fight. And you're like, it's coming. The universe or somebody's going to rectify. Trick is not to be standing next to him when it happens.
Maybe all the division that's going on in the US, which is also trickling out to the rest of the world and everywhere. Maybe that's going to somehow culminate in people coming back together at some point. Right now, it feels like it's super frictious, if that's even a word, very frictatious. There's a lot
I was
of
just
this
watching
going
that.
on. But let's
I
bring
was
it
just
back together.
watching a thing in England. Oh my God. Get it together, UK. What the hell's wrong with you?
I know.
They
Right
ride
now, like
hard.
it's Alabama. It's terrible. Jesus. Nobody.
Yeah, there's some pride happening these days.
Oh, yeah. And it's all racial stuff, and the thing is, racism never sounds good, but it really sounds terrible and just ridiculous when it's with a British accent. That's all I'm saying. Get it together, England. We look to you for inspiration. That's,
Yeah.
I don't. No, is there that type of stuff happening in Germany? I imagine it happens everywhere, but I don't think it's Germany. I don't think. Oh, Hamburg's terribly racing, but maybe it is. I don't know.
They're actually in Germany. They've really learned from their lessons. Hopefully, there's a very right wing, like kind of ultra nationalist with racial slant. It's called AfD, and they're in the kind of block of Germany. So like the kind of Dresden and more south of that area, as far as we know. But that's the style is creeping up more and more into the national state or the kind of European stage in different countries. France also recently. So it kind of waxes and wanes a bit more.
I gotcha.
So what happens like kind of
There's like a whole coalition of right-wing conservative parties of all of European countries. And there's also like a coalition of like all the more like liberal left-wing parties in all of Europe. And then the extreme right-wing party in Germany is like so extreme that the coalition of right-wing conservative of all Europe kicked them out. So they're like too extreme for them. So they're kind of on their own. But
it tells you something when the Nazis don't want to hang out with you and to reevaluate. No, I was at a party a couple weeks ago and there was some elder people there, and they, if you've been around anybody like this, you see them start to amp up, and I'm like, oh, I better head this off. And one guy starts, saying this and that, and I say, hold on, let me interrupt you. I said, I just want to keep with you here and be clear. Are you just bigoted against the black people or the women too? I'm trying to keep it straight in my head, which one do you hate more? And he kind of looked at me like it really just blew his mind that somebody would call him out directly. And I said, okay, here's an easier question. When you watch the movie Back to the Future, at what point did you say, yeah, this Biff guy, there's somebody that I can relate to? I'm like, why wouldn't you want to be Michael J. Fox? Why do you want to be Biff? Nobody likes that. You're certainly not going to get the girl that way. What the hell's wrong with you? But yeah, it's a weird world. But I think that there's more good in it than there are. It's like we're talking with technology. Everybody bitches about, social media and this and that. Whatever. We live in a golden age of technology. We're like the modern day Nikolai Teslas of this. We're sitting here, we're hanging out, just having a conversation, and you guys are on the other side of the planet. And we're doing that in real time. That's amazing to me.
I know. I feel like
I remember when this would be a very expensive phone call.
I know.
Yeah, and then phones didn't look like this. It's like black piece of ice, like glass from Star Trek.
Cool.
It's a pretty cool looking phone.
Yeah, we had the flip phones for a while, but yeah. Let me ask you something. What do you guys think is going to happen in the next, the speed and the ramp of what technology is happening, the pace is so fast. And as you're probably aware, there's that, Kurzweil and other people predicted and cemented in this time, 2029 being the kind of point of singularity, or
kind of the Moore's
What are
law
your thoughts
thing
on?
of, hey,
Yeah,
I don't know,
Moore's
Steph,
law.
what do you think?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think Kurzweil's being correct in his predictions so far. So he's pretty much on point. And, you know, we're just like hurtling towards like a complete unknown now because there's quantum computers. That's crazy. Don't know how it works, but it's really powerful and weird. And then there's, you know, the super intelligent AI that's people are working on, which is like ASI, not even AGI. And then there's AGI, which people are working on. So yeah, it's pretty insane. And also, if we just kind of look at the past 2 years since
Oh, yeah,
since
quick.
AI became a household word, already so much has changed. But that's 2 years,
I know.
and you know, like just imagine what it's only going to go faster unless everything crashes and then it goes back to zero. Then you know,
I don't know if
then
that's
we're
going
just
to
growing
happen.
some plants. But
I have been through so many it's going to crash crises in my life. I always said, I'm an old man. You know, I remember Y2K. I personally, when Y2K was supposed to happen, I still had student debt at the time. I was like, yeah, it wouldn't be a bad thing if all the financial institutions crashed.
yeah, crash it, crash.
Yeah, exactly. I was kind of looking forward to it. Then I remember watching, because they do that thing on the TV where it's like they usually do Sydney, Australia first, and then they show the different cities at midnight. And I'm like, well, Australia's still there. Tokyo's still going. I don't think it's not going to happen here. So I was a little disappointed. But, it's interesting that you say that. And I've never thought about this. One of my habits that I picked up during the pandemic is watching weird stuff on YouTube. I find these weird channels. I'm not in the music business. There's a channel called Produce Like a Pro, genius channel. I watched that for hours. I didn't realize music production was so difficult or fascinating. And it really is. But I watch these weird things. Lately, over the past 6 months, I find myself, me and my dog, my wrinkly dog, will be watching people camping and doing survival in like the Arctic in the wintertime. Like they go out and make a
cool.
shelter, and we just watch that for hours, and we sit there and look at each other and we're like, we could do that. We'd be okay if we were stranded in the Arctic, minus 60. No, we got it. Because we've watched these videos. We know what to do. But I'm wondering, now that you said that, it knocked something loose in my head, Conrad. Am I watching these as like some low-tech porn, maybe? I'm getting away. I'm doing the opposite of the high-tech stuff. And I've been not obsessed. Obsessed is too strong a word. But just enjoying these bare bone survivalist videos on YouTube, tickle some need of, maybe I need a break from technology. Maybe that's my subconscious trying to feed me some non-technological things.
Yeah.
Or maybe there's just nothing else on. I don't. Oh yeah. Or a phone. Access to cool bands. Like, you guys are an awesome band. And you know what? If I'm a fan in New Zealand or something, I can send you guys a DM or something. I remember when I was a kid, I really like, whatever, Ministry or something, some band. There's no way. I might go stand outside a concert or something and maybe meet them. You know what I mean? I'll find information out in a magazine or liner notes. I used to read those, like, a transvestite with nylons. It was terrible. There was no access to cool bands at all. And here you guys are, you travel around the world and people can get a hold of you. They can go to your website. It's amazing. That is a cool website, by the way. I don't know who did it. You guys have a really nice website. We have the link. We'll have the link on the video here, folks, but check it out. Yes. How do you get nice? It's really, wow.
But yeah, you're right. It's really weird because you can just literally message anybody and, that's really cool.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I can't
And
tell you.
it's really cool for the artists to actually receive messages too. It's like, whoa, they're messaging us, the world.
Really?
There's a world out there with
Well,
real people in it.
see, because I would think Stephanie's having her eggs or whatever in wherever you guys are at, Leap Street or some place crazy. And she's like, well, we got another 400 messages last night from lonely people in wherever, Nebraska or something. No, but you guys get excited hearing from people?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
cool. You guys are cool. You're just cool. I mean, I don't know if you know that or not, but you are. You're just cool. I think that's awesome. Very. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Let me ask you guys this. I have a question that I'm curious about. Well, I've got you on here and then we'll wrap things up. But real quick, I see the Simmons drums behind you. I think they're amazing. Anybody from the 80s, those were the ones you wanted to see. If you went to see a band, you wanted to see those on the stage. You knew it was going to be whether they had a guitar or not. Let me ask you guys, you have all this cool stuff, but you travel like constantly, like I was saying, you're always someplace new and whatnot. Is that a real nightmare? Like getting the Simmons drums from Nepal to Germany or the UK or Albania or wherever you guys wind up at? The logistics of that? Oh, okay. That's good. He's good.
Yeah, it sounds really funny.
Then does that come through the track if you've got it mic'd up or something? Do you have
No.
like a double sound then?
No, you
No.
only hear it if you're here for
I
the
see.
live rehearsal, and it sounds really funny.
I got you. The neighbors must love that. So, that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Like, they're torturing people in there,
No, they're just
hitting them really hard.
They're just a band, They all know. Is that guy wearing eyeliner? Yes. He's got black painted nails. He's in a band. It's okay. Don't worry.
No, neighbors are super cool.
That's cool. That's good. Have you guys ever had neighbors that weren't?
No. Oh, yeah.
They got to keep moving it. It might be. Yeah.
That's true. It's weird.
That's some witchcraft stuff happening. It's going to wind up on the news. But you guys will be the most interesting part of that story. So and guess who was living downstairs while all this was happening? The awesome band, Beautiful Machines. Here's their new video for Angelica. That could be a big thing. You guys are awesome. I could totally do a 3-hour Joe Rogan thing with you guys because you're just so fun to hang out with. You guys are really cool. Super talented. I mean, you guys, all this stuff. If you ever wake up one morning and say, I don't know if I want to do it today, just understand there's a big fan in South Florida that is glad you guys are doing what you're doing. It's amazing.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. Is she down this neck of the woods or is she in Gainesville still? Oh, okay. Well, we'll meet halfway. While we'll all go to Orlando. Hey, we can go to that. I haven't been to this. They opened this restaurant somewhere. I think it's an Epcot, where you take a virtual space elevator, and then the whole restaurant. They don't have any windows in it, but it's all screens. Like they project behind these screens that you're in like low Earth or orbit, and it's all spacey.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Into Epcot Center. That sounds cool.
It's like your life, Stephanie. It's just a bunch of different countries that they highlight. But it's fun to walk around. Anyway, we'll do something. We'll do something when you guys are in town. Let's stay right in touch, though. Yeah, we have those passes and everything. I'm telling you, my wife grew up in Florida. She worships at the Temple of Disney. I've got a guest coming on next week. Because Mickey Mouse became public domain. And this guy made a horror movie. Yeah. He made a horror movie about a serial killer that dresses up like Mickey Mouse and kills teenagers. A horror movie. And I've got him on next week, or actually I'm interviewing him tomorrow, but it'll be dropping the following week. And I'm afraid to tell my wife about it, because I can't tell her because she's going to, she'll be up. Well, maybe because she's into horror, but I don't know, man. She's really into Disney. So I don't know. I might just keep that one under my hat. She'll never know.
Actually, that reminds me of something. Like a couple of days ago, we drove up to Netherlands because it was too hot here. And then we're just walking down the street and there is this like Swiss consulate or something, some kind of Switzerland entity, big mansion. We looked through the front window and there's like a library kind of room with a nice fireplace. And right above the fireplace mantle is this skull. You know how like people mount like skulls of animals, but it was really weird looking. And then we realized it was the skull of Mickey Mouse because it had like round ears.
What?
And I thought it was hilarious.
Pretty awesome. I want one. I want the room and that skull. Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, guys, keep doing what you're doing. So you're so good at it. And we really, us out here, we really enjoy it. And, it's phenomenal. I can't wait till the Angelica video drops. I'm really, they do. And you guys are releasing more singles. So I'm going to be following. Is there a particular, should people follow one of your social medias more than the other? Are you guys more Instagram posters or more Facebook posters, or do you do it all equal?
Oh yeah, definitely Instagram. I think we're everywhere. You can find us on any one of your favorite platforms, but people tend to be the most active on Instagram. But just come and find us. And also, we're on Spotify, and follow us so you get all the new single alerts. There's a new song coming in a few weeks. And there's other things in the works. So we're not disappearing for too long this time. We'll have some new stuff going out for you.
Unlike that producer, Silent, we're watching.
Who became Tokyo Monster or Tokyo Machine.
That's a cool name. I dig it.
That's a cool name, yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. So folks, thank you for tuning in and we'll see you next time.
We can't be alone.
This has been pop art painter Jamie Roxx's Pop Roxx Radio Talk Show. It has been executive produced by Jamie Roxx, recorded at his studio in Deerfield Beach in South Florida. All rights reserved by Pop Roxx Limited.
Hannah Oli, Pop Roxx Radio.
Estás escuchando Jamie Roxx de Pop Roxx Radio. Manténganse al tanto.
Hej, det här är Hicks från Sverige och ni lyssnar till Pop Roxx Radio med Jamie Roxx.